First off, welcome. Goddamn it, welcome. Where you at? You ready?
This is the Bernie's Daughter Podcast.
I ain't scared of you, motherfucker.
The show where you get a front row seat to the magic,
Where you at?
humor, and wisdom of the late, great Bernie Mac, as seen through the eyes of his loving daughter.
I don't care about you talking about me.
And his famous friends.
Welcome to today's episode of the Bernie's Daughter Podcast. I am your host, Janice McCullough, mostly known as Bernie's daughter. It could have something to do with the fact that my father is Bernie Mac, hey. But I'm excited today because my guest is a comedian, actor, writer, and producer who soared to superstardom after his breakout role in Jordan Peele's hit movie, Get Out. He is Chicago homegrown and strong, and I also get to call him friend. Please welcome Lil Rel Howery.
Hey. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here, man. It's so good to see you. I ain't seen you in a minute.
It's been a minute. Well,
I seen you on the screen, but I ain't seen.
But you ain't seen,
yeah.
And also real quick, this is exciting. So now, outside of me being a guest on here, I actually can't wait to hear the rest of the episodes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is it. Like, for me to step outside and do this.
Well, it's about time. Like, you should have been doing
Everybody
this.
keeps saying that.
You know, I said it a long time ago. I said you should have been hosting or hitting that stage.
Yeah, everybody. Like, that's.
You got funny person. This is actually perfect. Maybe this is the most perfect thing.
That's been everybody's response. In my mind, I've been like, hey, everybody, look, I'm doing this thing. And everybody's been like, it's about time. And I'm like, dang, give me my credit. Like, I finally got off my soapbox and now I'm here. But
and no, you're gonna thrive at this. I think I'm happy that you're doing it. When I heard you were doing this, I thought this was a great idea.
Oh man, don't make me cry. Like, for real. No, again, this is a huge departure for me. Because for me, I'm like Gina. I'll be back here singing in the background. Leave me back here, but and I'm cool with that. I was used to my dad was the one who was in the spotlight. I stepped on the side. Hey, if he said daughter, okay, I come up here. Hi, and then I go bye.
You was doing Blue Ivy stuff before Blue Ivy.
So listen, I was one of the original macaronis. I sure was, and I just found a videotape of that. Come here, woman. Yes, I was one of the first ones.
That's funny, yo.
Yes,
I thought about that one day. Like, really? Janice was doing that.
I sure was.
The macaroni.
I was on the track team too, and he was like, "You gonna be in my show?" So I had to give up track to be in the show.
That's
I was
crazy.
like, well, all right, guess I don't do track no more. All right, like,
oh man.
But yes, so since this is the Bernie's Daughter Podcast, where we are all about highlighting and continuing my dad's legacy, I already know how much love and respect and admiration you have for my dad because we've talked about it before.
Yeah.
Do you remember the very first time you saw my dad perform?
Yes, it was on Def Comedy Jam. I wasn't supposed to be watching it, first of all.
No kids were, but do you know how many kids? Like,
everybody was watching it because it was. So now that I think about it, it was so attached to hip hop.
Yes.
And so, it was albums I wasn't supposed to be listening to.
Too short, anyone?
Too short. I wasn't supposed to listen to Public Enemy. Radical Brothers.
I got in trouble for listening to Public Enemy. I was Fear of a Black Planet. I was grooving. Next thing I know, I saw that shadow walk past. And then he got mad and was like, how the fuck you okay listening to this tape with all this goddamn cussing in it? I thought it was a joke.
He cussed you out.
He cussed
by
me.
telling you not to listen to cuss.
Right. But he got mad because he was like, how you comfortable listening to all this cussing? And I was looking at him like, I kept waiting for him to laugh because I'm like, you know who you are, right?
Well, that's ironic because my aunt, she was the only one that had cable. I stayed at her house for spring break because my brothers were still in public school and I was going to a black private school, Providence St. Mel at the time. And I'm watching it and she walked in, I'm dying laughing, trying to watch it quietly. And she like, this is comedy to you? All they doing is cussing? That's not funny. And like, da, da, da. And so it's funny that same auntie years later became one of my biggest fans. I loved it. But it was fun. I'm like, you don't remember like snapping on me about watching Def Comedy Jam? Shout out to Aunt Rhoda, rest in peace. But yeah, she was. That's crazy.
Too, who didn't know? And then when I told him, but you curse a lot. He was like, no, the fuck I don't. And I was like,
Who the fuck is a public motherfucker internet?
Like,
Public motherfucker.
but yeah, okay. So you see Def Jam, and
I
you
see Def
that's
Jam.
Stir Like Coffee. And
But it stood out. So the comedy did too. And at that time for me in the 90s, it was just certain brothers of color. Like it was Bernie Mac, it was Wesley Snipes, Robin Harris, random basketball player, Mookie Blaylock. Like it was just like, Blair Underwood, just chocolate brothers on screen that I needed to see. Morris Chestnut. Like it's crazy that made me be like, oh, that's cool. I could be on and looked at as a cool person, actually. Which is crazy. It was only a few really black people.
This is true. This is true. Because my dad used to get mistaken for Wesley Snipes after he started getting folks used to be like, who you look like? Are you Wesley Snipes? So yeah.
For real?
Oh, Wesley Snipes. It was somebody else they used to tell him he looked like. And we were like, all black people don't really look alike, right? I know that's the rumor, but yeah, and we have a picture of him when he met Wesley Snipes, and he did tell. Did
anybody say he looked like Bill Duke before?
No, but they did used to tell him he was black as hell like Bill Duke.
That's funny.
They used to tell him he was black as hell like Bill Duke and Yaphet Kotto. They did used to tell him that. So yeah, so you see, Def Jam, you see Stir Like Coffee. He stands out not just for the comedy, but because he's this, big black man that
from Chicago,
right? From Chicago, commanding the stage. And at that point, do you want to be a comedian or?
I knew around that time, so I knew I wanted to do comedy. Maybe when I was about 10 or 11, and that's because I was, I used to stay up late. And this is before I go to church on Sundays, but I would watch SNL, and it used to be a stand-up series that came on after that, hosted by Louis Anderson.
Yep.
And I watched that, and it was a random show with Wayne Brady called Quick Wits, where he did improv. So I was just watching these shows back to back, sleepy going to Sunday school. But then that's when I knew I wanted to do stand-up. It was that stand-up series that like really awakened me outside of just Def Jam and Comic View. And then I started, you hear people say this all the time, but I did really start listening to all the stand-up albums. My father had all Richard Pryor albums. He had some Eddie Murphy stuff. Red Fox. I'm a nerd. I'm a comedy nerd. And so like at one point, that's all I did I knew I wanted to do this really early.
Oh, that's where you and my dad, because we talked before about how when you first started going out, and doing pitches and everything, you would get told often how much you remind folks of my dad. Mm-hmm. That's something that you all have in common because my dad studied comedy. So just listening to you say that, it takes me back to all those years in the living room when he was playing everybody's records and jotting down notes and taking, and it wasn't even just albums. He watched TV shows, Andy Griffith, Dick Van Dyke, and he would just study, of course there weren't videos, streaming, so you can't rewind everything, but on reruns, we'd watch the same reruns over and over again whenever they aired.
There's certain movies I watched over and over again. Like Boomerang was one of those movies that I'll watch over and over again. It wasn't just because I enjoyed it, but I was just fascinated about because I feel like every comic does this. I'm probably gonna do this soon too, but when you get to a point where you almost want to romanticize yourself because you're the comedian, so nobody want to make you look cool or sexy or whatever unless you write it yourself. True. Which is why Martin did A Thin Line Between Love and Hate. Yeah. He became the player. So you'll write yourself in that because they ain't gonna cast you, is it?
No, because you're the funny guy. They want you to be funny.
And so you gotta just create that on your own. And so, it's interesting you say, Mr. 3000 is like that in a way.
Yes. I say all the time, I know people love and know my dad for his comedy, but I feel like people sleep on his dramatic roles. Mm-hmm. Even one of his very first roles, Flip and Above the Rim. Mm-hmm. It's a dramatic role. Granted, he's funny just naturally. So in things that he say, like when they walked up on him, "Ooh, what you walking up on me like John Gotti for, babe?" Yeah, that was funny. Mm-hmm. But the role itself was very dramatic. Like when Leon's character comes up and he looks at him, Tommy Shepard, you're really like, oh man, Flip. Oh wow. So the fact that people miss that.
Well, it happens so many times, right? Like, and it's been moments in certain things. Like, once again, if you're a fan and you watch everything, you know, I brought up Mr. 3000, the swimming movie we did with Terrence Howard, Pride. He was great in that. Yeah. So man, it's certain parts in that, especially when they start figuring out everything to get the group back together. Some dramatic. It's just moments in it. And I think if you watch those things, you know, that's the reason why, like, lately I make sure, like, I do it very strategically and nobody knows I'm doing it, but it's very like, I know I can just do the comedy stuff, but I try to mix it in. And then, cause some stuff I can't help. Like when I did Bird Box, it's a scene where definitely I wasn't supposed to be funny, but I can't help but deliver it, like, because it's like, what are you talking about? And then it makes me laugh because there's certain little parts I'm like, that's funny, and I know I did that to be funny. And the director really didn't want to be funny, but I'm like, what you want me to do? This is what this line is funny. You can't deliver this serious. No. It won't make sense. But even with that, like, it's just, you know, I think that's one of the things. I feel like closest to anybody like your dad is me in a way, just because of I really studied, and I think even after his passing is when I kind of I bought like a bootleg documentary on your dad leaving the funeral.
Oh wow! They was out there bootlegging stuff.
They was selling something. Bernie Mac tribute. I'm like,
listen, it was like 7,000 people there.
It was one of the crazy. I snuck in there. Like because it was a line around the corner. I walked there with some people who looked like it was working. Oh, does let me walk in with them?
Oh,
and I found my seat, but I was sitting there. But that was crazy because I was manifesting just a lot there too. I was like, I wanted to work with Ali Leroy. Never met him before. All that stuff ended up happening, like, you know, and just because, I don't know, man, I've always felt connected to your father, and that's why I always felt connected to you. Like, once we became friends, I was like, that friendship gonna happen. She's gonna be my friend. Get that? She was too funny. But you so like cool.
So were you.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. No, and for me, like, because I remember when we met, and then I remember seeing you perform. And it was like after my dad died, and I'm all sad and depressed. And
was it at the memorial we did? The memorial show. You remember we did the show at the
yes, that's the one I came to at
UIC.
Yes.
Is that still there? You know what I'm talking about? The UIC.
Yeah, I just don't.
So Pastor Hannah was doing his church there for a long time because he was building a church at the time.
Oh man, you taking it back to stuff I forgot all about. Stuff, yeah, you took it all the way back. I didn't even remember that.
That was that show. That show is one of the most unforgettable shows I've ever done because every Chicago comic was on that show.
Yes.
And you felt like you had to kill.
Yeah.
And that night, I wanted to be like, put my stamp down as like, yeah, I'm one of the best here.
And you did. And that's like, there are different comedians that I've seen over the years that it's obvious. There's just something like when they step out on stage, you know, okay, they're about to blow up. Like for my dad, it was his second Def Jam set. Mm-hmm. For you, like when I saw you, I was like, oh, he's about to blow up. Like it's gonna happen. I don't care what anybody says, it's about to happen. Mm-hmm. Like it was just obvious. And that's no diss to anybody out there, but it's just when something's on you, it's on you.
You know, but that's what I'm saying. Like your father, for especially Chicago comedy, he is the godfather.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so, which is so crazy. Like, I don't know if it's crazy to say that, but that's how new comedy is. Me and Gerard Carmichael was talking about this, about how like stand-up is kind of still a new art form in a way. Like we're just starting to see people be really rich from it.
Yeah, because back in the day, and this is the thing that I always say about with my dad's career, that's why I marvel at it, because he said he wanted to be a comedian at a time where, I mean, sure, you had Red Fox, you had Richard Pryor, but that wasn't seen as a lucrative thing to do.
Yeah.
Like it was people that was like, if you don't take your black ass to work and take care of your wife and kid and sit down somewhere. So I feel like Def Jam, that's what made Def Jam so groundbreaking, because it did something that hadn't been done before that made it possible for people to sit back and go, oh, yo.
They didn't have to keep doing the mainstream stuff. Like at one time, it was a show called, I don't know, something Night at the Improv, whatever. It was like a TV series. And one day I was just watching it. Like I told you, I'm like a nerd, so I'd be like watching random old stuff. And I'm watching cats have to change who they are. So they're changing their dialect because it's a white crowd. And then you seen some comics. I remember watching Martin struggle on that. Like Chappelle destroyed it because that was he could do the crossover thing.
Though, yeah.
But Martin had a hard time. I don't being real. Like you can watch this stuff. It's like, whoa, that's crazy. Like, and you can like as a comic who's done, I can see who was new. I can see who was nervous. I can see like Steve Harvey killed, like because he's always been country and comfortable.
Right.
You know what I mean? But then like that's why like somebody like your dad, which is crazy because he kicked off this new wave of comfortability. Of being comfortable with how you sound, how you look, and where you from. And you didn't have to change who you are. I mean, that's one of the reasons why, even to this day, Kings of Comedy, it was for people, but if Bernie wasn't on that, I don't know if it'd be anything, to be quite honest. It'd have been cool. But Bernie made it this special beyond specials. And then to come out with a television series right after challenging America to give him a shot.
Because he was the only, because at that time, like, especially, that segment, I'll take CBS, I'll take UP. Like when he was doing that, he had already done a pilot a few years before called Pearl's Place to Play with Faison Love, Angela Mean, Adele Givens, Antonio Farquhar was in it. Like it was a bunch of people in it. And it was really good. But I remember at that time, a lot of studios were passing. And the critique that they were giving was, like, he seems a little aggressive. I don't know if people will understand him. Like, and I remember at that time,
That's crazy when I hear it.
I've had people say it about the Bernie Mac show. Like I couldn't understand him in certain parts. And I'm like, okay, so I know I grew up with him. So I know, because everybody got that like one lone uncle or mine was my grandfather. He's like, hey, and other people are like, what did he just say? He said, hey, how your mom do? Like, but when I watch it, I'm like, what are you, how do
but
you
see, that's what made it unique though. Like, I think one of the craziest tragedies is not seeing Bernie and Robin Harris in something together. Like, what made House Party so interesting, if you rewatch these, right? You watch the first one, you watch Robin, you watch Bernie plays his brother. It's like, could you imagine both these in a scene?
Yeah.
Would have been. Forget Bad Boys and all this other shit. You like, them two dudes is like, it would have been, I'd have been throwing my glasses at this screen probably. Like, I'd probably be horse leaving laughing. Because it was so funny because it was at a time people used to compare those two.
All the time.
But I honestly see a world where like them as brothers would have been the greatest. Like them two in Soul Man. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying like would have been.
Him and Robin together would have been great. And I used to get annoyed when people used to compare them because if you look at their comedy styles, they're not the same.
Not at all.
Not the same at all. I just think they just two Chicago cats from the same era. And that's what people see because there is, like we talk, Chicago has a distinct flair. Like, a Chicago dude when you meet them. Like, you just know it. You just see it. So I think that's what people kept saying. And the fact that they're, both black and the eyes and, unapologetically themselves. But again, if you look at their comedy styles, completely different.
Yo, and that's why, like, once again, if you can appreciate this, which I love what I do. I love the fraternity I'm a part of and stand up. I mean, to me, it's one of those things I still pinch myself a lot of times just because, having HBO specials and all that stuff, that's like, as a real fan of it, I'm like, wow, I'm a part of this a very unique group of people, even having my own sitcom, you know what I mean? Like on Fox, that was a goal because of Bernie. You know what I'm saying? So like, so it's like random little stuff I've done that nobody knows, like that was my intention, but like, because Bernie did it.
That's awesome. Man, he would be like, really? Because B. Cole loves to tell the story, and I can't wait to have him on the show to tell it. But he said, like, coming up, especially when my dad used to host the Cotton Club, he used to always come to my dad like, yo, Bernie Mac, I'm going to catch up to you. I'm going to catch up to you. And every time he would tell my dad that, Like every time he would see him, he would tell my dad that. And he said at the house, matter of fact, at the House Party 3 premiere, he said he came up to him again and was like, yo, Bernie, I'm gonna catch up to you. He said my dad was like, catch up with yourself. Like and that's so my dad, because for him, he was always like, it's not about being like somebody else. Be you.
Be you.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's what I'm saying. For me, it's a homage thing. That's why, like, even at my last HBO special, at the end of it, I dedicated it to Bernie Mac. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't like I was trying to emulate anything. It's just like, dude, I respect what the door you open. Like, this is, you know, and it wasn't even like a planned moment for me to even say that. It was just what I felt in the energy in the room.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, no, like, everybody don't get a chance to experience the love for Chicago this way. And like, so like, you know, I'm thankful for him for having not a blueprint to like, it's two people Chicago influenced by me. It's Bernie Mac and honestly Kanye West that I was like inspired by, because those two dudes to me represent people from the crib just getting on. Like, and you know, when Ye first came out, all of us was crazy. It was like your cousin getting on. It was like, oh shit, like, like, yo, Ye's on. I could get on then, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what it felt like, you know? And your dad was like this huge figure, but like this bigger than life person that made it achievable. So even when I walked on that Fox lot and all that other stuff, like, that's what I thought about most of the time. Because there wasn't a lot of black men that had sitcoms on Fox named after them. That's why I called the show Rel. Like, they had the Bernie Mac show. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't you do that? Like, I don't know. You just saw the blueprint. And so I've always like, you know, I don't know. I've always had these moments where I feel like I channel him. You know, even with this, it's a film, the trailer just came out today that I did. It's on Hulu called The Meal. And it's the first thing I've done under Relevant Productions, my production company. You know what I'm saying? First feature, and it's a sci-fi thriller. But I literally thought about, you know, your dad and his dramatic chops and how like comedians are kind of like underrated on that.
Very underrated.
And so my goal is now to like prove that wrong. You know what I'm saying? And I could do that aggressively by like picking certain things. That's why I did the show Poker Face, because, you know, I'm like, all right, let me show you I could do this dramatic. Let me play a killer.
But I feel like I never understand why people underestimate comedians, because by and large, when you look at most of them, they can do drama far easier than dramatic actors 100%. Can do comedy.
Yep.
And I guess it's a testament to how good you all are at, you make it look easy. But even in dramatic, well, even in the roles where you are playing comedic characters, there still has to be some layer of drama underneath the comedy. It can't, unless you're just doing slapstick or something.
It has to be something real about it.
Yeah.
If you don't find the real in that character, I don't care if it's a comedy too or not, it won't be authentic. Even the jokes won't come off authentic. You know, I look at it like, you know, for instance, like, I don't know, man, like I've taken on roles like, you know, Bird Box and stuff like that. You know, even Get Out. Get Out is a drama. It's a horror movie. Yeah, I'm funny in it, but it wasn't like, what I loved about it wasn't slapstick. I was actually just the audience. That's all I was doing was talking for y'all. TSA. Like, the movie could have ended at the beginning. I'm like, man, I don't think you should go. The first time I was like, brother, this don't make no sense. And so, like, you know, but it was from a real, you take the comedy from an authentic place. Yeah. And I don't know, once again, it's for real. Like, that's what made Bernie so unique. He just everything felt real. Yeah. Every joke, every interview, even when he did Oprah, like all the stuff, like I do it. Like, that's one of my favorite Oprah interviews.
Yeah.
Like,
I ain't get to come,
Oprah.
so
why you didn't go to Oprah?
I was in school in New Orleans. And he was like, "Nah, you straight, you stay in school." And I was like, "But I can fly in for the show, right? Like, you can fly me in." He was like, "I can, but I'm not."
That's messed up.
That was one of his favorite lines though when I was growing up. Like, if I asked him for something, he would say, "I want to tell you yes, but I'm gonna tell you no. Just because you need to hear no sometimes." And I was like, "But I hear no a lot, so could you please say yes?" But yeah.
I always love hearing you when you tell stories about when y'all just having y'all natural conversations.
Because
I feel like you the only one who would say something to him that nobody else would say.
that's what my mom, like, but I think I was like 22, 23, and my mom was like, you just say whatever to him, he don't say nothing back. And I was like, because by that point, we had gone through, I had gone through the quiet phase of being afraid of him and all that. Like, I reached a point when I was 21, and it was we had a blow up moment between him, me, and it really was over my ex-husband, but I was mad because I was like, you making this about me and you now, and I don't appreciate that. And he was giving me some of them same lines he used to give me when I was a kid. You don't want to feel my wrath, Janice Nicole. 'Cause I would come at you like a thief in the night. And I remember just sitting there like, and I said, like, it came to my head. So I was like, wow, you're still using that line? And he looked at me like, what'd you say? I was like, you still use that? Like, it don't have the same effect anymore, right? Like, oh, okay. Like, he was so outdone. He was like, yeah, okay. You know how you just start repeating stuff?
Kids know your vulnerabilities. Your kid, that's what's so fascinating about being a parent.
Yes.
Is when you start to watch your children figure you out. Like my kids be picking on me now, right? They be like making little jokes. Like they know when I'm about to be irritated. They start laughing. I'm like, that's not, that ain't funny. They let their friends participate. Look, my dad about to be annoyed. The way that messed up the order. And so like, but that's what children do. They learn I remember doing that too. That's why I maybe like to do my mom on stage and my dad. That's because I've sat there and studied them.
Listen.
Without even trying. You just sitting there listening to like, that'll work no more, right?
Listen, that bitch used to do, but I still to this day, if I get annoyed, I will, can I have? I won't, like, that's my joint right there. I will still do that. But yeah, speaking of kids, like, because I remember when we used to talk and I was like, you gonna blow up and your kids are gonna be amazed because they will have a front row seat to watching their father, like, boom, make fetch happen. How do they feel about the fact that you are now this superstar?
They're like great partners in this.
That's so sweet. They
really are. Like they've been over the years, now that I think about it, they're my little partners, right? And so they'll come on set with me. They've flown to places, different cities I've shot in and stayed with me for a while. Judah has done stuff with me.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Me and Brittany has done a few things. But them two oldest babies, they've been partners. They like, I'll send them trailers. I'll send them like cuts of stuff just to get their opinion on it. I'll send them a script.
Love it. I know they honest and brutal with it.
They really are. But that's what I like though. And they're really good at it. Like the Relevant Productions is their production company, really. I'm just building that for them. The whole our symbol is us. Literally me and the kids.
Love it.
And so, it's I love how their mind works, especially Judah. Judah's really into film. He's deep into stories and stuff. And so like, I remember working on a pilot. I called him like, yo, what do you think about this superhero? And should I do this differently? He had right away information. Just smart, man. So like, yeah, they like my little partners. Like it's interesting. Like they'll call me every once in a while. Like my daughter started high school and it's like, yeah, they figured it out, Dad. I'm like, figure what out? They know who you are.
That's what's gonna be my next question. All right, because see, I can relate to that a bit, but it's a little different for me because, like I always tell people, I grew up before my Super Sweet 16. MTV made it cool to have all that. So at the time that my dad was becoming famous and people were like, "Oh, you're Bernie Mac's daughter," all I wanted was to not like, no, please don't. I don't want y'all to know. Not because I was ashamed or embarrassed, but because people acted different. Like folks will swear when you make it, you're the one who changed, but the whole time is them. And I just want it to be normal. And so now it's slightly different, but there can still be that undercurrent of it.
But that's what I'm saying. For them, it's a balance. You know what I'm saying? Like, so being divorced is a blessing in disguise. Cause like, yeah, when you're at my career in LA, this world is different. We'll go to some premieres, we'll do all this. And then when this is done, you go back to school.
Yeah.
about to going to school and going home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I like that they have the balance of it, right? But then I like how comfortable they are. Like I could take them on any carpet. They not like being nervous. They ready to pose. They know where to go. They chilling. You know what I'm saying? Every once in a while they'll whisper like, "Dad, can I meet?"
That's what I used to do. Yep.
And so like, or we'll be out at dinner and I'm friends with everybody. They're like, "Wait, Dad, you know the guy from All American?" I'm like, yeah, it's my homeboy. You know what I'm saying?
Like, okay, I'm gonna have to come down and hang out with you because that's my boy. Like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, but it's like random stuff like that. They like, yo, like, because sometimes they be like, their friends be like, your dad is like cool, and you like, my dad ain't cool. He's crazy.
No, now that that aspect I can remember. Like, no matter what, no matter how much your dad is doing this thing, he's still just dad to you. Because I remember, like, and it was like around Kings of Comedy, and I would go places, and people would go, "I heard your dad's famous. Is your dad's famous?" And I would go, "Well, I mean, I guess so." And then they're like, "Well, who's your dad?" And I'd go, "Well, have you ever heard of Bernie Mac?" And it took my homegirl Heather. She was like, "Yo, you can stop asking people if they know who Pops is. Pops is famous, right? Like, this, right? Like, he's a big deal." And I was like, "Oh, he is? Oh, okay, I guess so." Like, and I saw it in real time happening, but it still was just like, that's just that. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, like, because once again, I told you that, like, they pick on me. So, like, one day they was like, we was watching something like, "Dad, you're doing that movie voice." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Like, you have two different voices. You talk in regular life, you talk like this, but when you're on screen, you just, "Hey, man, I'm Lil Rel." Like what? No, I don't talk
knew
like
instantly what you was talking about.
that. And I'm like, and I remember like they was laughing about it, I acting like it was cool, but I was thinking about it the whole day. Like, do I do that?
Yes, you do.
And I do, but I didn't even know I was doing that. You know what I'm saying? And so like, I'm like, yeah, you get me. It's me at the crib. Like I ain't like throwing extra energy in it. But it's like, yeah, you do your performance. I Lil Rel. And I'm like, damn, y'all mean.
Hey, listen, nobody can. Kids, like, I love it. That's my daughter is the same way. She'll be like, but she's sweet about it because she'll say something and then go, "No offense." Like, yeah.
That would have been so fun to see your daughter like right now, just because she would be so honest.
She would be so honest, but they would be so. She's so much like him. And now for me, and that was something I was going to ask you about too, because my dad's mom died when he was 16. And I just remember growing up, a lot of times he would look at me and he'd go, "Man, you remind me of my mom." Like, and he would say that a lot. And at the time I couldn't understand. Like, I got it, okay, his mom died, but I didn't really know what it felt like. So now on this side of things, I understand what it feels like to be raising my child when my dad is gone and to not have them here, to have that bond and that relationship. And she'll say or do something and I just go, "My gosh, if that's not your grandfather, oh my gosh." Like, they are, the way that she loves the arts and she loves music, the way that if she likes something, she gotta watch it incessantly. That was him. He was one more again. She don't say one more again, but she'll be like, "I'm just gonna watch it one more time." She's real proud. "I'm just gonna watch it one more time if that's okay." Like,
Love that.
But yeah. So for you, because we both had that in common, having lost a parent.
Yeah.
And I remember what it looked like for my dad when he would, like, every time he would have this big moment, it was always like, "Man, my mom didn't get to witness this." How do you feel?
All the time. I mean, when I did that last special at the Chicago Theater, and the moment at the end of the show when I was like, "All right, I just want to take this in," that was a real moment because I think by the time I got to the end of the set, and it happens every once in a while, where I could literally be on stage and for a brief moment I'll see her standing there, sitting there. So I was like choked up, trying not to like cry. And because it was that moment, you know what I'm saying? The Chicago Theater, line around the corner, naming lights.
Man, it was so packed.
It was but we used to walk that path back to school shopping. We'll come from Bennigan's and sometimes just to go to, we'll walk back over to Madison that way just to get on the bus and head back out west. And so like, it meant a lot, you know what I'm saying? And so I had those moments all like a lot of times backstage, like, it's so funny. My backstage ain't no fanfare. Ain't a bunch of people back there. It's really pretty chill, actually.
Well, you would chill, dude.
Yeah, I don't like all the rah-rah, yo.
No,
I'd rather it be kind of quiet back there. Maybe a few of my homies who I like riff with. But like especially like when I'm touring, like my green room is quiet. It's literally quiet. Like it's me getting in the zone. Everybody's pretty chill. My openers are chill. And because a lot of times I'm reflecting. Like that night was just, it was crazy. I had to get off stage and I just was balling. But in a happy place, because it's like, yo, dreams do come true. That's why, like, at the end, I did say, outside of thinking about my mom, it was like I was thinking about Bernie the whole time too. Like, yo, I've commanded this city like only heard one other person do. Yeah. And that was him, you know what I'm saying? So it was like, yo, that's crazy to even to like, these moments ain't guaranteed. You know what I'm saying? And there's people that came way before me. Even cats that's still here that still never experienced what I have. And I'm extremely grateful for that because I like came up literally through the chitlin circuit of it. It wasn't no, it wasn't no rope and I can pull. No, this is like from the mud. This is first generation of whatever this is in my family that started with me.
That's why, I can see the parallels between you and my dad's life because it was the same way. Like, how people are always like, how come your dad didn't have a special? I'm like, well, first of all, it wasn't no Netflix back then. Everybody didn't have a special back then. But like you said, he toured. It was chitlin circuit. My dad stayed on the road. And really, when you look at it that way, he wasn't supposed to make it according to the plan, how people, try to say that there's this plan of how it's supposed to happen. No, you're supposed to have agents and your agent's supposed to do, but he did the chitlin circuit and it just snowballed into more stuff. And there was always these stair-step moments that would happen in his career. Like when he did Def Jam, it was like, man, that's the biggest thing that ever happened. Then after Def Jam, movies came. He did Who's the Man? It was like, oh my God, you're in a movie with all these people. Then it was all these other movies. Then I remember Life, and it was like, oh my God, you're in a movie with Eddie Murphy. Then from there, it was like, now you got your own movie. Now you got your own show. Like there were all these stair-step moments. So for you, like I remember like watching your career, it was like you were touring. Then you did Friends of the People. Then you did the In Living Color reboot.
Well, I did a Live in Color reboot first.
Yeah, that's right. And Live in Color reboot came first, and then it was Friends of the People. And then, now you're getting...
I think it was Carmichael Show's next.
Yep.
And then Get Out.
Yep. And then
everything else.
Yeah. And it was just like all... and it was like all... Because I remember, again, as a friend sitting at home, like, oh my God, look at my homie. Like, look. And it was just all these movies, like, to where when Free Guy came out, I was like, oh my God, you're in a movie with Ryan Reynolds. Like... When you're having all of these stair-step moments that are happening, do you have to look at yourself like, yo?
I do. I like when we went into quarantine for the pandemic, right? I had a moment where I was sitting in the house and like 3 or 4 things I was in came on at the same time. I'm like, Jesus. But I was sitting there and I remember like doing my head like this and looking at the TV like, oh, you made it inside the box. That felt so unrealistic when I was, on the west side of Chicago. Like TV was it took me away from everything that was just going on. And so it felt like a world that either maybe I couldn't be a part of. It would just feel like a fantasy world. Like, where is Hollywood? Like, you know what I mean? Like, is it a real place? Were they doing all this cool stuff? And so like to have a moment where you like, yo, I really like, wow, I pulled that off. And it's from the, and when people say from the mud, it really is like especially for, it's still Black people doing first things. Yes. You know what I'm saying? Like this is all still like new. And that's why like I try not to I don't sit in it and take it for granted how hard it is to do that. It is cats I've lived with in Chicago, comedians. Is all of us a bit, and I remember I had Michi. Michi came to my house in L.A. and he was like, "Jesus, I'm like, yeah, man." and it's not, and it's not in a brag way, but it was funny with him being there, and we were roommates. We lived in Harvey. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, yo, I guess you get used to what you accomplishing, right? You like, I've done this and this is what it is. And then you have somebody be like, hey, like, brother, this is, wow. Whoa. I'm like, yeah, I guess it is. We were just sitting in the back. And I'm just like, yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Now, did you struggle with like having all of the money that comes with it? Because I think back to like my dad, we had to go, we got money now. Like we would go out to eat, passing crackers and condiments, put this in your purse. Go ahead, put this in your purse. Put this in your purse. Like I remember one year, I think it was my sophomore year in undergrad, I brought my roommate home with me. And she knew who my dad was, and I had to tell her, we are ordinary African students, okay? Like, don't think it's anything more than what it is. So we went out to eat. We went to Red Lobster. And again, like I said, he's passing crackers. That was back in the day before the Cheddar Bay biscuits, when they used to give you the basket with the crackers and all the condiments in it. So he's passing all the crackers and, condiments, like, put this in your purse, put this in your purse. And she's like, why is your dad doing this? I was like, he don't know we got money. Like it hasn't hit him yet that we got money.
You know what's interesting? That's a great question, right? And I could see Bernie doing that. I think with me, especially by the time we have Friends of the People and Gerard Carmichael, this is a true story. When we was doing Carmichael's show, and I would only go to Roscoe's all the time. Like only thing I would go to is stuff I'm familiar with. And he was like, "Rel, you gotta stop. you actually have some money now." Right, like. And so he would take me in the Redefining places. We'd be like, what is this fancy place? You know what I mean? Gerard, just try it. Can have a great pot roast. And so Gerard actually is so funny that he actually opened my eyes to just like, hey, I can live. It's almost a difference if you grow up out west and then you start going downtown. You're like, whoa, this is fancy. Yeah. I ain't supposed to be coming down here, And so, like in LA, that's what opened my eyes was Gerard. It was funny. We had dinner in New York recently, and he was cracking up. Cause he just, I might do order, whatever. Okay, he's like, oh, that's where you at now. You don't even care. You just trying stuff now. Like, yeah, but I remember a time. I was like, I know when I would even.
Yeah.
And so now you can't even. No, I live a cool lifestyle. Like it's very interesting because
I love how you took that pause.
Because it's like I get a chance to do whatever makes me relax. Like you know what I mean? Like it's like I could do some great. Like the things I love the most is doing the stuff for the kids. Like when we go to trips and go to places and I'm able to do all this like going to Disney World and letting them get all the fixings and them just sitting there and enjoying themselves. And it's like, yo, this is what it's all about. You know what I'm saying? But it'd be the little stuff for me. I like the fact that like at the crib, I got a basketball court now, right? And I could just play whenever I feel like it. And that's a big deal because I used to play all the time as a kid, but I had to walk to the park. And if it got too dark, I had to come back. I could switch my light on, keep shooting.
Living a dream.
Living a dream. But it's those small things. It's not like I'm from the west side of Chicago. So, we still do things a certain way. We like cars and stuff. So I don't know. I be chilling. You know what I mean? But for the most part, it'd be like it's literally the small things that I really enjoy. Yeah. I just enjoy it. I don't have to worry about certain things. And I just go and I can take care of my family. That's the biggest part, like, honestly. I think that was one of the things I had to learn in therapy, like not being sad about not being able to do stuff for my mother. You know what I'm saying? That I wanted to do stuff for her. So that was actually a big part of my anxiety, actually. That I didn't even know until I went to therapy. Like, damn, I didn't know that was hitting on me like that.
I love that you have gone to therapy and you are just mentioning it like, yeah, it's one of the things I learned. Like, I love that you're doing that because that for me, I remember, and it's crazy that somebody had to tell me, because that's my degree is in mental health counseling. I have a degree in psychology and a degree in mental health counseling. If anybody should have known, hey, you should go to therapy, it should have been me. But I was like, clueless. And I remember, for me, that's where a lot of, especially like dealing with the grief of my dad, because I don't know about you, like for me, it was, I kept trying to get over it. Like instead of really sitting and dealing with the grief, it was like I kept doing this like, okay, I need to be over it by now. I should be over it by now.
My therapist, she rammed that into, man, yo, like that was a problem because I kept trying to like move on some type of way, and it's not realistic. You'll never move on.
Never.
And it's okay. Yeah. It's literally okay. It's okay to miss somebody you love. That's fine. Yeah. I think that's why, like, you know, Black people don't go to therapy like that, and we need to, because we're taught to be so resilient all the time.
Yes.
Like, you got to get over it. You got to move on.
Listen, at my dad's memorial service, there was a moment where I lost it. I just broke down. And one of his friends came over to me and like put me in a bear hug and was like, stop crying. You know, your daddy wouldn't even want you crying like that. And I remember, like, it took me out of body, because I was like, first of all, is this not the appropriate time for me to be crying? Second of all, who the hell are you talking about? Because the Bernard Jeffrey I know, if I wasn't sitting here crying, he'd be like, so I just can't do right by, I'm dead and you ain't gonna even cry about me. Like, but it was, I just remember feeling how odd that was. Like, damn, I can't even cry at the service. Like,
I'm gonna tell you something powerful. One of my really close friends lost his daughter last year. And I remember one of my therapy sessions was about it. Cause I'm venting to her, like, I'm hurt. We all hurt, but we men, so we doing it all this weird. And she was just like, well, she said a lot. And I remember leaving and I called him. And I said, hey man, let me say this to you, bro. Like, you don't have to be strong. If you feel like being vulnerable around, like, you lost your baby. Like, it's crazy if anybody even asking you. Like, it doesn't even make sense. Even if I said it to you, I'm wrong. Like, bro, like, it don't make sense. And I remember having this talk with him, and I remember him just breaking down on the phone, like, ain't nobody said that. And I'm like, but once again, my whole therapy session was about talking to him.
I love that.
I was like, because I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, you know, all of our kids are each other's kids. Yeah. So we all was like devastated. But then men are taught to be in this very strong, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm like, bro, we can't, like, that's weird for me to ask you, like, to not be devastated.
I heard be strong so much that I, like, now if you tell me be strong, my fist balls up on sight. It's like, if I hear be strong,
you get the octa fist.
Yes, I'll be like, what you say? Like, I never want to be strong ever again in life. It's overrated. It's not
like my fiance just lost her mom. And that's the thing I kept telling her, you know, they from the South, you know, so that's everybody saying all that. Be this. I'm like, no, be weak. I'm here. Mm-hmm. I'm here. I'm here to catch you. I'm here, whatever that is. Even now to this day, because she still is trying to, you know, everybody, you know, when you go through that type of grief, it just takes, it takes forever, to be quite honest. It takes, I don't know if it ever, right?
It never goes away.
It never goes away.
Listen, it's been 15 years and I'm still like, I miss my daddy. Mm-hmm. Like, and now the difference is it's just random moments. Like, the moments that I think I'm gonna break down are the moments that I'm like, oh, okay, I'm fine. And then it'll be something random, like I'm washing the dishes and I'm like, remember when he used to get mad at me and be like, you better get your ass in the kitchen to wash the dishes? Like, and it just, you know, and I just lose it. Like, but it took me for all these years to really, like you said, get okay with the fact I'm never going to be okay with the fact that my dad is dead. Never. Like, I wish he was sitting here instead of me. I wish he was sitting right here and I was over there like, look at my daddy. Like, but, you know, it is. Oh, my condolences to your fiance, because that's...
But that's, you know, life gonna life. Like, one thing that's guaranteed, and we can, people say whatever, it is death. All of us gonna experience that. Either losing somebody or you gonna be the one. Like, so it's all part of the game. I just think, which is why it's great that you're doing this podcast, is that legacy is so important.
Man, listen.
And keeping people's legacy alive. I mean, that's one of the things, like, that's why I made sure, once again, with the production company. I mean, this is so crazy. The reason why I even did my specials with HBO and not Netflix is because HBO gave my kids producer credits.
Yes.
But Netflix wouldn't do it.
We gonna talk about Netflix.
But I'm just saying, but it ain't a bad thing, but I'm just like, I stand on that because I saw Nas put his daughter as executive producer on his album. So I'm like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's just legacy, man. That's the big part. Like, you can't take none of the stuff with you.
No. And that's, for me, this is so important for me because I feel like history gets told by the people who have the power to tell the story. And when it comes to talking about my dad, I don't want anyone, while I'm still here, I want to be able to control the narrative of how my dad is remembered rather than it gets in the hands of other people and they put their own spin on it. Now, thankfully, he was so beloved that everybody's saying good stuff. Like I keep saying, he's been gone for 15 years. So if somebody was like, man, somebody would have said something by now. But for me, like I remember when he died, I put a lot of pressure on myself because I'm like, I'm his only child. Like, what's going to keep the legacy going if it's not me? So I tried to work with the foundation, and I don't have a heart for nonprofit. Shout out to all you people who work in nonprofit because it's so necessary and we love y'all. But it wasn't my ministry.
This is a perfect kickoff for you. I think this can open up so many other lanes, especially with the gift you already have of talking to people and interviewing and your personality, and like it's something that's gonna open up the gates for you to do whatever you want to do.
No, like that's a scary thought for me though, because like I said, you know me, I'm in the background.
But you all personality. Like it's tough when somebody does that and they be like, I just ain't got you got the personality, you just got to do it. Like you just do it, you good.
That's my completely useless superpower. I keep saying that. My completely useless superpower is the ability to appear far more confident and far more extroverted than I really am. Like put me in a room full of people and my first thought is, God, oh God, there's so many people here. All right.
Janice, you're funny. You're gorgeous. Super cool, and you're very smart.
Thank you. I'm working on taking compliments, so thank you.
Yeah, that'd be a therapy session. That was one of my. I was like day 6.
Man, listen, it's
session 6.
Listen, I had to, my therapist had ended our sessions a year ago. She was like, "You're good, so just call me."
Good.
Well,
ain't no such
but
thing
in that moment, she was like, in this moment, she was like, I'm always here. Like, call me if you need another one. And I had to call her this summer because I went viral this summer, just talking about my dad on my wedding day. And like, it was like 1.2 million views on my TikTok. And like all the comments were so positive. Like, and I was bracing myself for like some type of pushback. And one of my best friends was like, oh my God, I'm so excited for you. This is so great. Everybody's now going to get to know and love the Janice that I've always known. Know what I took away from that?
What?
I was like, oh my God, you think people are going to love me? Like, that was my thought. I was like, I was like, oh no.
You've been likable in every moment I've seen you in.
I'm not used, so.
Even that panel, like the panel I saw you at the Black Women's Festival, like you was killing.
Thank you.
It was like watching somebody do a stand-up set. You was killer. It was one of the craziest rides of anything I've ever seen. Wow. You telling your story, you and your dad, and then even going into the saddest part of it. It was like I was like, yo, did they record this? Like
no,
this was really good.
I didn't have anything prepared. I was just like, I'm gonna speak from the heart. That's why I don't even know what I said.
Yo, you was hysterical, and then like, but it was so heartfelt, and it felt like. It was one of those moments where like it made me appreciate my relationship with my daughter. You know what I'm saying? Like it's so important that daddy girl thing is very, very powerful.
I tell you, like I tell people all the time, I was in, like when I say I was in love with my dad, I thought every man was supposed to look like him, sound like him, and be like him. And if they weren't, I was like, oh, that poor man, something is wrong with him. Oh no. And I remember I was out with my grandfather one time, and like every guy that we saw would be like, Granddad, something wrong with that man. And he'd be like, why you say that, granddaughter? And I was like, because he's not as dark as my dad. My dad is really dark and he's not as dark as him. And he would crack up laughing like, are you serious? Then I'd point out another man, something wrong with him too. He's not as tall as my daddy. Like, he was the blueprint. He was everything. Even even as I got older and he got on my nerves, underneath it all, it was still, that's my guy right there. Like, that's my guy. Just want you to tell me everything is okay. Like, that's why I love Guess Who so much. Like the scene with him and Teresa, when she's talking to him and he's like, oh, what you want from me? And she's like, I'm looking for you to tell me that it's okay to be with him. I was like, this is exactly how I feel. Yes, like on everything. If I just wanted him to say everything I did was good.
That's so good.
Oh yeah. So we've been talking a lot about therapy and healing and everything. And there is this, pervasive, story that comedians, their comedy comes from pain, which to a certain extent, that's true.
Yeah.
But for you, dude, you look so happy right now.
Yeah.
You look unbelievably happy. So like, this ain't like the 5 heartbeats. Like, we don't have to go, Rel's going to be a great comedian one day after he suffers more. Like, you've already gone through that.
This is happiness, man. Like, you can still be funny and happy. And I think that's a very, interesting place to be, which is why I love the way I do comedy. It's very honest. Like, I've been like lately, people go come see me perform. The show's been about, I tell the engagement story now because it was a big deal. But I'm in a happy place. It's like, I even look different because I'm happier. That was something that happened because because people all the time, they're like, oh, Rel, you look great. You lost weight. What did you do? What was it? And then you tell them like, well, I'm happy. Wait, no, I mean, what you doing? Just happy shit? Because, I was happen to be booking stuff like Get Out and Carmichael Show when I was going through a divorce. And I was I didn't realize how depressed I was until I went and talked to somebody about it. But I knew how to perform through it.
Yeah.
The gift ain't never going to stop.
No.
The gift is always there. It's what it is, right?
Well, and that's part of what makes the gift so great to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Because you can take, whatever you're feeling and channel it into something else that brings other people.
Well, it hides things until you have to deal with it. I talk about it on the last special when I decided to go to therapy because I had a panic attack for the first time. On my stairs in my nice ass house, and I couldn't stop crying, and I didn't know why. And my assistant at the time, April, was just like, I'm like, yo, just pull up them therapists, man. Because she kept saying to me I should go to therapy. I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm like, why am I? I didn't even know why I was crying.
I've been there.
And so as soon as I started dealing with all this stuff, I'm like, and I had to go back.
I was just going to say, and it goes so much farther back than you could even think about. You start peeling back those layers and you're like, wait.
And so I'm always thankful, I'm a man of faith. I thank God all the time for like, I was able to survive and perform and I wasn't happy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like really sad. And so I'm always thankful for comedy. Like, comedy is a gift to me. Like, thank you for that stage. Before I knew to go to therapy, that's where performing was all that got me through. I can't imagine my life if I couldn't perform and had to deal with some of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? And so like, I don't know, doing comedy from this very happier perspective of things, it's been fun, and I've been on these tour days, man. It's like with the strike happening, I had to go back to this is the first time comedy's been it for a long time. And that's just it. And it's been cool to go back on the road as a mature adult. I do things differently. I get a massage. I go to the gym. Like, I do all this relaxing stuff. I'm not like, I'm going out after parties. No, I just be chilling. Give me somewhere, have a nightcap, sit in the chair, have a cigar, chill. Like, it's not like how it was when I was young. It's like, oh, this is I'm a different person than I was. This is interesting. Yeah. The grown version.
I was just going to say grown man real. I like it. Yes, love it. So we know you are engaged, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Like, again, look at your face when I said that.
No.
Look at your face. Oh, you in love, man. I love it. I love it. But so now, how are you finding the balance? Like, it's not like in your early career when you had to just hustle, grind,
Mhm.
but you are still booked and busy. So how are you finding that balance in?
With love, we adult well, right? And so if you learn how to adult well, you can do whatever you really want, to be honest with you. So you make time for what you want to make time for. I love this woman. I love Danella. She's the best thing that's ever happened to me. I in my wildest dreams, didn't know I would meet somebody like her. You know, I didn't. It wasn't even like, I had a moment one day, right, where I manifested this. I don't know what I was shooting. I was in my I think I might have either went on a date or something the night before and I had to shoot something. I was in my trailer like, God, I'm done. I don't want to be in the streets no more. Cause it's too much out. It's like, why I gotta do this? Person's not smart. I gotta have this cut. Like, I know
Why you sound like Mike Marcus Graham when you said that? Like, you met that woman. She was
it's not that bright. And so, like, you know, it was all of that. And it was like, yo, I'm ready to meet her. I said it out loud. And then I ended up meeting her at a random ass event. And she came, I had spoke, we had a mutual friend, and Megan Good, it was our mutual friend, and it was a screening for our show Harlem. And I went on the mic and said some nice things about Megan. And she pulled me to the side. Danella was like, hey, that was sweet of you. You have a really good heart. I could tell. And that meant so much to Megan. And I appreciate you too. And I'm just like, who was you?
love it.
Who was you? I couldn't stop looking at her and end up stalking Megan page to find her. Yeah.
So, okay. Because that's sidebar on that, ladies. When a man wants you,
he'll find you. I mean, it sounds crazy. I don't know. I didn't mean to say it like that. Yeah,
no. I don't mean like I don't mean to imply you like on some Joe. You
that's what it sounds like.
Stuff.
It's like,
no,
you know something, yeah. Man.
No, but I mean, you know, there are so many women who like fight to vie for a man's attention, and you don't have to do that when a man is in. Demetria,
be yourself.
Yes. Demetria Lucas always says, interested men act interested. Boom. Proof right here.
Yeah, I was on it. I was, you know, I ended up like I found into a rabbit hole when I went to a page and saw how she had these 4 amazing daughters and their story. And she's just a great mom and she's gorgeous. Love God. And they was volunteering somewhere. And they was raising money, so I just paid off the rest of it. And that's when she hit me up like, yo, did you just do that? And I'm like, yeah, y'all doing the work, you know. And I didn't do it for that. I really was like, I was literally in the bed just looking at too much and liking stuff. And it's like, I ended up giving because I just wanted to. Because I'm like, wow, you really doing it? Like, y'all on Skid Row doing that? That's crazy. And yeah, we started just talking all that. It was Instagram conversations for a while. And then we started leaving voice memos. And then when I was about to shoot Harold and the Purple Crayon, it was our first table read. And I'm in Atlanta. She was like, well, before you go to table read, can I pray for you? And I'm like, yeah, we could do that, but let's do it together. She's like, what you mean? I'm like, you go first, I go second. And we've been doing that every day since then. So that it just sounds like kind of corny, but that's just what it was.
Corny. Listen, I don't understand the whole calling stuff corny, because if that's corny, everybody, well, I don't want to be married. I don't want that. No, you can keep that for me. But if I were to want it, yeah,
you'd be like that.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too. It was crazy because it almost was like a long distance relationship, even though we stayed in LA. But I was gone because I was shooting back-to-back things. But we talked to this day. Literally, we can go to sleep on the phone.
You hang up first. No, you ain't.
We don't. It just stay on. You wake up at 5 a.m. like, all right, babe, I'm gonna hang up. But because we've been doing that since then, you know. But that's just because we really got to know each other. And I thought that was very important. We had so many conversations. So our first date was when she came to Atlanta while I was shooting a movie. We met in the lobby in person. Like since that day I met her at the event. And we just been inseparable since then. Like I ain't going nowhere.
Well, I'm just gonna say, love looks good on you, man. It does. It really does. And so, since this is the Bernie's Daughter podcast, we gotta come back around full circle and end it on the man himself. So we know my dad was that dude in Chicago in comedy and just entertainment all around.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that you think his legacy, what lasting impact do you think his legacy will have on the landscape of comedy?
Oh, on the landscape of comedy, look, it's only a few, I believe, very honest, unapologetic comics of all time. Richard Pryor, and really in your dad, where it's like, hey, this is who I am, and this is just what it's gonna be. And I think Bernie even more than Richard. Because, at first Richard was kind of doing what Cosby. He was doing like, that's what Cosby, like he was like trying to be, because he saw that's how people got on. And then he made a decision to say, nah, I'm done with that. This is what I'm gonna do. Your dad came in firing. And I don't know if we'll ever see anybody else that's been able to be themselves, and everybody wanted a piece of that. That's why it was at one time he felt like you give him a cameo in any movie, you're not gonna forget it. If it's Don't Be a Menace, if it's Friday, if it's How to Be a Player, and we just talking about the quick stuff, and you just be like, what? You know what I mean? Like you could never. He's one of the most quotable comedians from stand-up and scripted stuff of all time. Of all time. I hit the back of Forrest Whitaker's neck. Come on, man. Who the hell says that? Like, that's the craziest.
This whole scene.
I hate the back of Forrest Whitaker's neck. That's just a crazy thing to throw out. Like, wait, what? But this is. Oh, I smell but this is. Booty and pussy. Like, it's just like, it's just, who?
Even the scene in Life with I'm the pappy, that was supposed to be a serious scene. That was supposed to, everybody was just supposed to come for, I'm the father. And here he come, I'm pappy. Like,
but that is, that's the legacy of your dad. He's memorable, but he's a door opener. And I wouldn't exist in comedy with my voice and even in acting, even the way I look, if it wasn't for somebody, Bernie Mac, being one of the first to come out there. And we talking about, like, even when you see him do Transformers, you see him do what's the movie with the girls? The
Players
ladies.
Club?
No, not Players Club. The
Babs.
Not Babs. The Spies. And he played the. It was popular with the Asian girl, the two white.
Oh, Charlie's Angels.
Charlie's Angels. Like, I know, like,
girls.
like
I was
Charlie's
like,
Angels.
I'm thinking of little girls. I was like,
Talk about the strippers. You went right to Players Club. I said the girls. I said Players Club. Like that.
Because you tell Diamond get her fucking ass upstairs because she up next.
That's
like,
so good.
I still say that.
But here we go. That's what I'm saying. Like everything. It's just. I mean, shit. That's the stuff he did. What was it? Ocean's 12. That was Ocean's 11. Like that's classic.
That's my favorite.
That's the big. Those are big movies. And so like when you say to me like, "Hey, Rel," when I saw you do Free Gathering, once again, it's a blueprint there. I'm not copying it. I just know what it looks like.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, all right, cool. This is how you keep that going. And like for me, the bigger, not even just doing the blockbuster stuff now, even just like hearing that someday he had a dream of maybe opening a studio in Chicago, things like that. So it's like, all right, cool. That's why things I'm doing with my production company is really important. You know what I'm saying? And so I just know the legacy of somebody like that, it just keeps going because all of us are a part of it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? If you family or not, we all family. Yeah. Chicago is just Chicago. We all family, man.
Yes, we are. Yes.
We claim everybody. I don't give a damn who you is. Right. Mike ain't from Chicago, but damn it, he from Chicago.
Pretty much, yeah.
I watch Last Dance them every day.
Oh man. Yeah, but no, it's again, like you said, he's a door opener. And that's why, again, like I tell you all the time, I see the parallels between you and my dad, which is why in 2017, you won the Bernie Mac King of Comedy. Yeah.
When I tell you one of my favorite awards ever, I think I might have been shooting Uncle Drew when I got it, and I was working with Marty Bowen at the time. And man, that even makes sense to me. It was like, what? Yeah. I was so happy to receive that award. Yeah. That's one of my favorite awards that sit in my house. Like,
it's well deserved. Right?
But that was it. It just,
Yeah, no. I could see him like if he would. That's my only regret is I hate that you all didn't get to develop a relationship because
that would have been fun and interesting.
I feel like
I get along with old black men. Like that's my jam. Older black men are my people. Like that's when I did the Living Color and everybody was scared of Keenan Ivory Wayans. I was like, I literally would have lunch with him every day. The first day I had lunch with Keenan, real quick, that's when I stopped talking. But he was like, hey, Rel, what are you doing? I was like, yeah, I'm sitting here with you. He's like, there's other places you can sit at. Like, nope.
I'm right here.
I never think I was gonna meet you, Playboy. I would sit here every single damn day. And every day he started telling me these amazing, hysterical stories. But I wasn't scared of it. Like, that's my family. Like,
that's how
people be scared of older black men in Hollywood. I love them.
That's how I feel like my dad would have been with you, except on the Cubs. He wouldn't rock with you on the Cubs.
You a Sox fan?
We Southside, of course.
He is, first of all, cool. One of the greatest 7-inning stretch songs sang was at the Cubs game by Bernie Mac.
Yes, it was. Mm-hmm. But if you had put it at the Crosstown Classic, it was always with the Sox.
Well, you'd have been taking that, be on the losing side of history, sir.
Yeah. No, hey.
The White Sox is crazy. Shout out to the White Sox though, because they actually let me throw out the first pitch the first time I ever did that. So I just did the Cubs this year.
Southside. But no, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me, Janice.
I love you. I'm so proud of you. And tell the people what you got coming next.
Everything.
That is true. It really is true.
Watch everything. You got, well, I can say, we got Paw Patrol 2 and Vacation Friends 2 and Good Burger 2 and The Meal and Dashing Through the Snow. I play Black Santa Claus. Yeah, man. It's all before the year ends, so.
So, again, like I said, you can catch them on Hulu, Vacation Friends 2, and on Netflix, In the Outlaws. This has been a wonderful episode of the Bernie's Daughter podcast. I am your host, Janice McCullough. Known to y'all as Bernie's daughter, because I know that's what y'all call me. Like my daddy before me told y'all, I ain't scared of you motherfuckers. So until next time, where you at?